Great. What you're going to do, up until now, we haven't actually used the raw umber that came in your kit. I had you guys mix your own browns by mixing complements together and then tinting them, which we'll be doing more of later. But just because this is only an underpainting, it's easier, frankly, if you just use, or the burnt umber, that's it, burnt umber, raw umber. This is the burnt umber, you said, looking at it like that. This is where you want to use a little more liquid than we have used before. So I'm going to put out, don't get crazy, but put a decent amount out like that. We'll start with that. Okay. Now you're going to use, because it's a larger surface and you're just painting it, not for detail, but just give it some background. Now we're going to use the larger brush like this. So we're going to take the burnt umber, just a little bit at first. And I don't want you to make it too light or too dark, and I'll show you what I mean. Just kind of a medium brownish underpainting. So I'm just going to take just a little bit of this stuff, like that. I'm just swirling it all around. Right? I used very little of the burnt umber. In fact, I'm thinking I might want more of the liquid. For now, I'm just going to kind of dip the brush in the Gamsol and make it a little thinner, more watery, even though technically it's not water. And then you just paint it like this. Doesn't matter about, like, it doesn't have to be, you know, like this. Just get the paint down. Like I said, it's fast, fast, fast. Okay. And that's a good medium kind of brown. Could be a little darker, but I wouldn't want it much lighter than this. I'm just trying to spare Andres from using all his stuff. Come on. Come on. There. It gets a little thick sometimes. Now again, just a little bit of the brown, not a lot. Okay. See that? There, that's a little too light. There we go. So you can see this really just takes a few minutes. And my canvas is probably larger than yours. So you might, at this point, you might actually be done with the base coat. And again, you can see I really don't care very much about the brush strokes, the direction they're in. You know, I'm not like, you know, cross hatching. It doesn't matter because you're just going to paint over it anyway. But what this does is it means you work like you do down here. Again, you're trying to create a middle lightness, darkness background. And then you can either go really dark or go really light. And I'm trying not to get this on my beautiful flower. I want to kill it. Sometimes when I'm doing color matching like this, and I'm using water-based media, I will actually like paint the flower. You're like, you know, okay, is that the right red? And I literally will paint the flower the red I think I've mixed properly and see if it, like, when it dries, it looks exactly like the flower. Which technically, who cares? Because the flower is going to die anyway. Now, if you decide that it's too light, all you need to do is not put out more liquid, just add more brown. Because this will stay wet for a little while. So you're like, no, I want that to be darker. Okay, you can just add the paint back in. Again, we talk about two kinds of mixing. Mixing on the palette, mixing on the canvas. So here you're mixing on the canvas. And like I said in the next room, if you want to make changes, this is how you do it. So you're like, oh my God, it's too light, what do I do? Don't panic. You know, just add a little more of this. If you want to go for that Manet background, you know. But I don't want you guys to do that. You know, try to keep it in this middle value area, you know, that we have here, right? Now I'm going to put this in here, and now quickly I'm just going to kind of draw out, this is the hard part, I'm going to try to just draw out the flower. and block out what's light and dark about it. So regardless of the color, even though this is like yellow and orange, that's a green, that's a kind of a magenta, okay? Regardless of the color, this is darker, okay? This is darker than this, like it is here. This is kind of like an orange for the most part, like a red orange with some yellow in it. But this flower is more like this kind of magenta, so it is darker. And the green that is the leaf is this kind of viridian color, that is also darker. So I want to paint them a little bit darker, because that's what you're going to be doing with the color. So now I put out more of the burnt umber like that, and I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to do this guy. And this is where the observation comes in. Don't worry about the color now, just kind of worry about the general shape and outline. And again, if it isn't perfect, it doesn't matter. It's not a portrait. It will still look like a flower. So this is how I do. I normally I start from the left and go to the right. That's just how I do it. And I kind of sometimes work clockwise. It depends on what I'm doing. So I'm looking at the flower, and the great thing is you can just leave the brush touching the surface. So it's like, and I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at this, and then I'm looking at that. You'll see, if you watch it, you'll watch the video later. It'll be up on YouTube in a couple of days. Yeah, I hope, now that I think about it, I hope it doesn't make people like dizzy. So I'm just doing kind of the outline of the leaves right now, like that. And this one goes like this. You know, try to keep your head, you know, kind of in the same place. But if you move it around a little bit, no one's looking and comparing this to a photograph to say, they didn't get it right. That's not happening. Now I'm putting in like where it's a little bit darker. Okay, because it's orange, and it's like a red orange like this, which is darker than the yellow. So I'm just adding a little more brown in here. There's the shadow underneath, which is not that dark. The shadow is not darker than the top. It's about the same. It's a little different color. It's really dark, the markings that are right around here. So I'm going to make sure that these are really dark here and here. It's kind of dark in here. Darker here. We've got, let's see, this thing goes like that. This is the only time I get to have fun in the class. So I get to do it. I remember thinking, I'm like, this is a fun class because the lecture's really short, and I just get to watch you. I get to paint, and then I watch you guys paint. And those are the fun days. Okay, and then this one, you can see it goes, I can see the outline, like they go up like this, then over, then up again, down, okay? And it's dark in the back. And see, I'm not really worried about the detail. I'm just trying to block out, that's the term, I'm just trying to block out where the lights and the darks are. Kind of dark around, down towards the tips. And then you got these crazy guys in the middle. Like this, what are they, what's the stamens? I forget all my biology. And again, I'm looking very carefully, and where I am at, the stamen is going up above this. You know, like that, and they curve that way, and they curve that way, and then there's this big tall one, and it goes all the way up there. That's it. Done. You know, with the first kind of set of color. Looking at it, oh, there's these things down here. Yeah, and again, I don't want it to be so detailed. I'm like, okay, is that pretty close? Yeah, it's pretty close. Maybe, this needs to be a little more this way. And with oil paint, again, this is going to stay wet for a little while. The liquid will dry quickly. And so what I want you guys to do when you're doing this is get through to this part. Yeah, and I'll be walking around, I'll help you. But get to this part and then just let it sit for a few minutes so that the colors dry a little bit more. So that then when you put the color in on top of it, it's not all brownish orange necessarily. Okay. Now I'm getting fussy. Stop it, Cole, because I'm telling you guys not to get. Now I'm getting super fussy. As you can see by my paintings, it's like I get, you know, when I'm doing this, I'm like, you know, super crazy tight because I'm a freak. So don't be a freak. Okay. Now I'm just going to put these guys up here in the meantime. Start again. I don't know why. This is just me. I tend to go left to right. There's that leaf. There's that leaf. There's that leaf. And from my point of view, the flowers are below. When I'm looking at it, actually, you can. I don't know if you guys can see it on the little camera, but from my point of view, the flowers are, the leaves are above the red part of the flower. So I'm going to do that. Got this little guy here. And you can see I'm using this small brush. Use the small brush because it's more like, you know, it isn't a pencil, you know, but you're drawing with this one this time. Okay, like that, boom, boom. This goes like that. This goes like that. This goes that way and up.